Hey, this is Wileen Benson, and you are on the Daily Gratitude Call, where we start every day in gratitude. Gratitude is the highest energy state that we can be in. It creates a frequency of positive vibration that attracts positive experiences into our lives. Hey everybody, this is Wileen Benson. This is our Daily Gratitude Call. I'm super grateful to be on the call today. Thank you so much for those who are here live. We have lots of people here today. Super excited for what we get to create together. And also want to welcome all those who are listening on the podcast. I know this is going to be an amazing call. It's the first of a new week. It's the first of a new month. Well, the second of a new month, but our first call in the new month. It's the month of gratitude, November. Suzanne mentioned that, and I'm just super grateful. Actually, Suzanne has invited me to do a masterclass in her new Facebook group, Mentors in Training. So if you are a mentor in training, and I know if you're any kind of a mentor in any kind of a space, you're always in training. You're always the student, always looking for new insights. And she's invited me to do a masterclass within her group on gratitude, the power of gratitude. And I'm super excited to create that. It'll also be our masterclass this month in the Laura's Way to Wealth public group as well. So join that group. It's a public group for that Suzanne's doing, Mentors in Training, if that fits who you are. And would love to just really invite anyone and everyone to join that. And also on the Laura's Way to Wealth public group to participate in that masterclass that's coming up later. I realized as we were doing our rounds of gratitude, I was really touched by some of the shares of children and pets, and just thought about the pure trust that those babies and pets give to us. These brand new babies as they come. We have a couple of people on our call who have little tiny ones, and I'm just so touched by the pure trust that they give. And we, Laura and I, have created a new mentoring program, Architecture of Life Mentoring, and we've got several people that are here on the call that are participating in that. And I'm just really touched and humbled by the pure trust that they are giving us in helping them to create their business, and just watching them bloom, like Suzanne's new Facebook group, Melinda's Armor Alignment Call, some of these wonderful things, Betsy doing her True Colors retreat. Lots of really amazing things are happening because they are trusting Laura and I to guide them in a way that's like, I don't see a lot happening right now, but I really trust that if I do that according to the architecture of life, that everything's going to work out. And I'm just so grateful for that pure trust in the people that I serve. And that's what we're going to do our 90-second private silent meditation on. And I do want to mention, just kind of looking at the time, we have a lot of people on the call today. So our rounds of gratitude actually took a little more time than usual. So we will still have a 30-minute call. So I'm planning to have this call end about maybe just a little after 1:45. So those of you who, maybe need to drop off a little bit early, I will totally understand. We would love to have you stay until the end. So let me go ahead and set my timer. I neglected to do that. So give me just 1 second. All right, so we are set for 90 seconds, and I'm going to start this timer. We're going to do a private silent meditation on gratitude for pure trust, and we'll see what comes up. Begin. All right. In our rounds of gratitude, before we started the recording, Betsy mentioned the military and how grateful she was that, when they receive an assignment, a lot of times they don't know where they're going or what they're even supposed to accomplish. They just show up to briefing and are told to, put their lives in danger to secure, some sort of agenda that needs to happen. And she applied that to when we get our inspired shortcuts. A lot of times we look at something with fear and it's like, oh, I don't want to go do that. That sounds scary. But if our military did that, nothing would ever get done because almost everything that they do sounds scary. So I loved how she applied that to the inspired shortcuts and the confidence that the military has in their training and their preparation, and to just trust, have this pure trust that all of the resources are going to be provided for them, that they will be able to be successful in whatever they're going to accomplish. And I, many times, and specifically one of our participants on the call today, I invited her to really just jump off the cliff into the darkness. And she did. And I was just so proud of her and grateful for her for doing that. I was reminded of an experience that I had. I was probably in my early 20s, and I went to Camp Williams, which is a military establishment here. It's about 45 minutes away from me. And they have a sort of like an obstacle course type thing, but it's like different scenarios. And they have these random materials just kind of laying about. And they tell you to, what the objective is, what you need to accomplish. And then it says, they say basically you can use anything that you can find to achieve your goal. And it looks like an impossible task. And then you start looking around, and because you believe that there are materials laying around, that they have prepared things for you to be successful, then you start looking at these materials as the means to be able to accomplish. Instead of just seeing them as random materials, it's like, oh, okay, we must be able to use this. Like there must be some good use for this board over here, and it just looks like random things laying about. But because we believed that they would help us be successful, then they all of a sudden became resources that we could use. And we were able to, with our creativity and imagination and working together as a team, we were able to be successful with the exercise. And I'm just super grateful that God has prepared the way for me to be successful, and random things just laying about that look like trash can actually be resources that I can use to help me be successful. Who else has something that they would like to share? Tammy.
I can share. So my kids have started watching the show. It's called Wizard of Paws. It's on BYU TV. And it's really a fun show. It's this guy who makes prosthetic limbs for animals. And something that he said that I remember that he said on one of the episodes was that animals don't see the past and the future like we as humans do. And so their animals are able to live purely in the present. And I was just thinking about how much living in the present allows us to purely trust. And I just really love that thought, and that just really resonated with me this morning.
Awesome. Thank you, Tammy. Robert.
Well, when you talk about Camp Williams and random junk, or you didn't use the word junk, stuff lying around that may be of no value, comments can actually fit that same scenario. Random comments can be valued when it's looked at the right moment or the right situation, or maybe it's not the right situation or moment, but it's the difference between looking at something as junk or looking at something that appears useful.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. I love that. Thank you.
You're
We
welcome.
can stress that whatever those comments are, even if they feel negative, that there might be some value there. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Betsy.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about gratitude for pure trust, the word intrinsic, or that you just feel it, like that gut feeling, that spirit to spirit, there's just this like, wow, I'm drawn to that truth. I'm drawn to trust what is being said or taught or principle learned. But then ultimately it comes into choice to follow the promptings, to follow, kind of there's a bravery amount with that action step associated with trust, because trust is that first step. It's like, okay, I trust in this, but then it's usually trust into some sort of action.
Mm-hmm.
And I love also when Tammy said that she just took this huge leap in the dark, because I feel that too, that sometimes we just take those steps in the dark and that there'll be something to step on. And so I love it, because trust feels like you don't have control, but then when you take that action, that choice is this beautiful alignment of, I guess, the end result or the properties of that trust.
Beautiful. I love that. Yeah, faith is definitely very closely related to trust. And I think you're right. Trust comes first, and then the action is the faith. The action is taking faith on, acting in faith on that trust.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I also love what you're saying about like just feeling that trust, kind of that gift of discernment. We all have that pure light of Christ within us that allows us to recognize truth, and we can feel in alignment with the truth, even if it's something that brings up some kind of fear emotions or uncomfortable emotions from past experiences or something, that we can still say, yeah, and it doesn't feel good, but I know that it's right. I know it's something I need to take action on. Super powerful. Thank you, Betsy.
Mm-hmm.
Deepti.
I think the only thing we need to do is purely trust our own selves and be courageous, because our limiting beliefs are weighing so much on us that, we create these layers and layers of illusion, and we seriously underestimate our ability of being a human being. We think that maybe we want a car, but what we really want is an aeroplane, but our conscious mind is not able to reach there or think so big, so it goes small and we think we need a car. So I think if we simply truly trust ourselves and fully show up for our own selves first, if we show up for ourselves only, then we'll be able to show up for the world. So I think if we truly fully show up for ourselves and allow our internal compass, like we all have that divine inside us who's going to give those promptings, like Betsy said. So if we truly trust ourselves first and let that internal compass drive us or guide us, we can never imagine how incredible we are, what our capabilities and abilities are, and what an incredible life the universe has actually planned for us.
Wow, beautiful. Deepti, that just really anchors in some of the things that some of the transformation that I've experienced over this past weekend, and about having shadow experiences. Like you mentioned, we think we need a car, but what we really need is an airplane. And I think a lot of times we do diminish and limit and create shadow experiences for ourselves because we think in our minds that that's all we're ready for, or that it's all that we can accept into our lives. But if we purely trust ourselves and be courageous, like you said, and decide to have a true experience instead of a shadow experience, how much faster and less frustrating it will be to arrive where we really are destined to arrive and become aligned with the person that we really are inside. I love that. Thank you, Deepti. Maybe one or two more shares.
I just wanted to add in that, when we are wounded, all our choices, all our thoughts, all our actions come from that wound. We start taking those actions in our lives from those limiting beliefs and those wounds that are there inside us. So it is so important to keep doing the work and, cutting off that layer by layer, because what you're going to do is when you put out that frequency from the wound, that's what is going to get back to you, because the frequency we put out in the world is the frequency we get back. So I think to stop that perpetuating low frequencies, we really need to, show up for ourselves, be ready and be open to change and work on ourselves and really achieve the best life we are truly meant on earth to be.
Awesome. Thank you. Some of the things that were already mentioned about, or actually, I think Laura mentioned this on Melinda's Armor Alignment call, that like grief, for instance, sounds like, seems like a negative thing, but it would be a shadow experience if we got stuck in that grief. But if you expand that grief and look at the wholeness of grief, grief is such a beautiful God-given emotion, and it becomes compassion. That the wholeness of grief is compassion, and that would be the pure experience. And so the wounded stories, if we hold on to, and like remain in those wounded stories, rather than expanding that story to what, the beauty of it and what it really, the wholeness of it can help us have a pure, true experience. We can purely trust that experience, that there's something really beautiful to be gained from it, rather than, being focused on the wounded story. Thank you. Lots of really awesome things to ponder and consider. Any last thoughts before we shift over to our permission process?
I just wanted to share that there's thoughts for me that are outside my own, and I know that it's inspiration from a higher source. And I'm grateful that when I can zone in or focus on those inspirations, that the rest of the things that are troubling me or I'm having a hard time with, kind of, they melt away because I can focus on that trust that I've received.
Beautiful. I love that. What a perfect way for us to transition into our permission process. And again, kind of that shadow experience, if we're really zoning in on our problems, or, whatever it is, instead of opening our minds to inspiration, bringing that light of inspiration into this dark feeling, the darkness just melts away, like you said. And that's what I'd like to invite us all to do right now, is just go ahead and take a deep breath. Just allow yourself to purely trust this process, to trust this experience that you're going to be feeling in the moment right now. I'm just going to share something that was shared in the chat here from Jana. These shares are very encouraging and beautiful. I'm learning to tune into the Lord's peace within the process of trust and how his peace lasts. And Melinda says, I agree. So just tuning into that process of trust and feeling his peace, feeling the Lord's peace, tuning into the Lord's peace. And allow yourself to become aware of a shadow experience that you have been experiencing, something that you have seen possibly as negative, or maybe a small experience that is sort of like a preparation for something bigger that's coming. And whether you judged it to be good or not, it doesn't matter. Just if it is a shadow experience, if it's a type, if it's something that is possibly preparing you for the ultimate huge experience that is really the true experience that you are capable of, and that you are divinely destined for. So whatever that shadow experience it is, just go ahead and take a moment and allow that shadow experience to teach you right now. With this power of intuition and trusting that God's inspiration is enough to give you all that you need to be able to look, to shine light on this shadow experience and to understand the wonderful lesson within it, why it was such a great part of your earthly experience here and on the way to arriving at that true experience. And possibly if you have not identified that shadow experience yet, I invite you to let go of your mind and go into your heart and just let God show you that shadow experience. And maybe it's something that to you has felt like a purely wonderful experience, but that you did not even realize that there's something so much greater. Take one more deep breath. And as you're becoming more aware of what that shadow experience is, just allow the feelings to be present with you right now. Maybe there's some feelings of grief that if, like, I'm going to be asking you to let go of this shadow experience and step into something more pure and true. And I don't want to let go of this experience. You know, whatever it is that you're feeling, maybe there's some anger about how could I have been so blind and just not seeing that this is actually a shadow experience. You know, whatever that judgment about yourself or that fear that might be showing up, write that down. This is a limiting belief that will keep you inside the shadow experience and not allow you to be able to expand your mind and your heart and your soul to be able to receive more. So just identify that limiting belief and the cost associated with it, because there's always a cost associated with the limiting belief. It's going to limit you from achieving something, and it will also continue to attract experiences, shadow experiences to you. If this limiting belief was created to hold you inside of this shadow experience, then this limiting belief will continue to produce shadow experiences for you. So just identify what that cost is, and then you get to make a choice right now to either let go of that, give yourself permission to let go of that limiting belief and the cost that's associated with it, or you still have permission to hold on to that limiting belief if you still feel like it's keeping you safe and you're not ready to let go of it. That is your choice as well. But now you're holding on to it with the full knowledge of what the cost is. So if you are ready to let go of that limiting belief and choose into some new beliefs, say yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Awesome. Love it. I love the power of that word yes. And I invite you now to create some new beliefs, 2 or 3 new beliefs to replace that old limiting belief, to allow you to step out of this shadow experience and into something that is purely authentic and true, and an experience that you are destined to experience, something that you've already been prepared. God knew that this was an experience that was specifically for you. And so you've already got all the resources laying about that maybe look like some junk, but they are actually resources for you. You have been prepared. You have the knowledge. You have everything that you need. And maybe even incorporate some of those thoughts into your new beliefs. And then as you are writing these new beliefs, I invite you to close your eyes and go back to that space of opening your mind and your heart to know what is the pure experience, what is the true experience. And with pure trust and courage, allowing that true experience to be shown to you right now. and using these new beliefs, or maybe even adding some new beliefs that will help to really anchor in, give you some physical evidence of the truth of this new experience that you're seeing in your imagination. And expand your imagination even further. Tap into that pure light of Christ that is within you and use it to discern the truth. Is this new vision that you're creating enough? Is it big enough? Is it true? Is it authentic? Or is it still a shadow? Is there something even bigger that you are destined for? And adjust your new beliefs to allow that full vision to be opened up to you. And with this full vision opened up to you, now is the time for us to ask for that inspired shortcut. What is the one most important thing that you could do today that would take you one giant leap forward towards this true, authentic experience with pure trust, taking action with pure trust? What is the one most important thing for you to do today? What's your inspired shortcut for this true vision to become a reality? When you have that inspired shortcut, I invite you to anchor in this vision, look around and find some of those resources that have been laying about, ready and willing to help you to create this. And whatever you need to do today to utilize those resources that have already been available to you, just make that commitment to take action today. And then when you're ready, I invite you to come back to the present. I'm going to be opening it up for 1 or 2 quick shares. And also want to invite anyone, if you're feeling like you need some extra support in this area, to reach out to me immediately and go to askwylene.com, and you can schedule a 15-minute call there. And if nothing is available, I don't do this very often, but I am going to give you my personal cell phone number to send me a text, because this is such an important part of your progression. And it's so important that you take action immediately. And because of my inspired blueprint that has been given to me of the architecture of life, I know that I can help you to achieve whatever it is that you have just envisioned as your true experience. And so I want you to reach out to me on my cell phone in text, 385-207-8808. So whether you're listening to the podcast or if you're listening on live, if you just saw what your true vision is and it is so huge, you're just not even sure what the next step is, that's the time I want to get a text from you. So let's go ahead, and we have time for maybe just 1 or 2 quick shares. Deep tea.
I just wanted to share my new belief, which is I have the courage to make decisions that support the extraordinary person that I am.
Wow, beautiful. I love that. Thank you so much. So empowering. Thanks, Deep Tea. Anybody else? Tammy.
Oh, sure. So Saturday, I was prompted to go buy something for a friend who needed some help, and I was a little bit hesitant because I felt like I needed the money for something else, but I was just like, I need to do this. And so I did, in faith and trust. And then last night, Wileen, as you were inviting me to jump into the darkness with a bigger expense, so I can do the mentoring group. Not for me, that was absolutely complete darkness because, but as I texted you that as I was writing down the resources, and the resource that was my answer was the resource of God's infinite storehouse of resources. And as I wrote that resource down, I knew that I have full access to that, and that even though I don't see the physical evidence of that yet, I know that I have access to that and that God will provide. And so I'm really, really excited to see how the rest of this unfolds. But I'm just grateful for that smaller shadow experience on Saturday that I'm recognizing right now.
Wow. So those shadow experiences truly can be a preparation for a bigger, true experience. I really appreciate you sharing that, Tammy. And I just want to invite you and anybody else who feels like this would serve them, that a lot of times we speak the truth in power, and we feel that confirmation within our hearts, and then we diminish that experience by saying, I haven't seen the physical evidence. And the fact that you saw it, God's infinite storehouse is available to me, that is the physical evidence. You can see that God has a storehouse of abundance of everything. And so just take out that word don't see, or just take out the word don't. I see the physical evidence now. It is in God's infinite storehouse. And I know that that's going to create a totally new experience for you. Thanks, Tammy.
Thank you.
Laura.
I'm going to share one thing in a minute, but that I was planning on, but I was just thinking about the physical evidence that you were just talking about, Wileen, and the experience of it in our bodies is a physical experience.
Yes, exactly.
And so that is a physical experience, and there is no other. So whatever we imagine to be outside of ourselves isn't actually outside of ourselves, because there is nothing outside of ourselves, because there is only energy. That is all there is. And so the things that we imagine are outside of ourselves are just energetic expressions in another part of ourselves. And when we see that, then we become one with the physical experience that we're having within our body. And that, just without any effort whatsoever, will align with what is happening in our larger experience outside of our body. And so everything that seems like it's outside of us is just outside of our body. And that's not outside of us. That's only outside of one component of us. And so it's still within us. And yeah, I can hear you breathing. You want to say something?
Yes, I know. And I know you have something else that you want to add, but I just want to add another possibly new belief to, what we've already created there, Tammy, what you've already created. And that is, I have God's infinite storehouse within me, because now that I have seen it, I've actually been to the storehouse. I've actually been inside of the storehouse because I've seen it. And so now, because that energy exchange, that imprint of the energy of God's infinite storehouse is now part of me. And anyway, go ahead, Laura.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. I mean, because it's fleshing out this understanding. And it goes back to, Jesus said, the kingdom of God is at hand. It's within. It is near. It is here. And I mean, he said the kingdom of God is within. That's it. We're done now. Mm-hmm. And so that just, so I just we have to become one, we have to realize our oneness. It's not even becoming one, it's realizing
Yeah.
our oneness. So,
Awesome.
and my new belief that I wanted to share was that I am a woman who stands on her own and lives free. I am able to love the world fully by letting go of the past and of what I was taught about womanhood. Wileen, you'll appreciate this, I know, because the rest of you will share this later. But I stand on the bank of Oak Creek in Sedona, free and happy and powerful, and creating a world aligned with the kingdom of God.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you. Yes, I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, I love you guys. I would love to continue having shares, but we do need to end our call today. Thank you so much for being here, for the contribution that you made, whether it was in a share or just your energy being here, because like you said, your energy is here. It's within us. Whether you're listening on the podcast or you're here live, you're here within us. And thank you so much, everyone, for making my mornings amazing. Love you guys. We will look forward to being back together tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Mountain Standard Time now. Thank you so much. We will look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. And I encourage you to tune in every day to the Daily Gratitude Call. And the Daily Gratitude Call happens live every weekday morning. We'd love to have you join. So to find out how to join live, go to my website, WileenBenson.com. Thanks for tuning in.